So we have Billy Hurst, the infamous Billy Hurst here, country and western troubadour / professional photographer / VC veteran, here to talk about singer-songwriters.
Oh, yeah.
So, Billy, you write songs?
Yes. And I know you do as well, correct?
I try to.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I'm not. I like to fancy myself as a songwriter, but that's been a lifetime ago, literally. Yeah.
Did you ever do anything and make money doing it, or is this kind of a hobby?
Yeah, I don't know if in all the times we've spoken, I don't know that we've ever talked about my time in Nashville. I was in Nashville for 8.5 years and had a record deal and made a couple records in the 90s, and yeah.
Oh wow, I did not know that. So that's cool.
So now I know that the next package I can send your way, I can throw something special in there.
Please do.
Yeah.
I would love to hear that. So yeah, I never got that far. I played guitar in a lot of bands when I was young. I had some big things happen, but I turned some things down and kind of changed my path, and here I am. So no regrets.
Man, I almost broke. I see you sitting back in the nice big comfy chair there, like you always got in your videos. I almost broke out my Noble Records chair and just kind of kicked back in that today.
I've got other chairs, but people get upset when I don't sit in this one. So
that's the one, man. That thing looks comfortable as heck.
It is nice. So I'll let you jump us off and kind of steer the ship here and see where you want to go with it. Yeah,
really.
Go ahead.
I kind of know where we're going to go, though, right? We all kind of know where we're both going to start. We're talking about songwriters. You already grabbed yours, right?
Yeah, I just remembered one more that was right here, and I pulled it out.
Uh-oh.
But yeah.
So I grabbed mine. The first one I'm going to show, I actually picked because of one that I think you're going to pick, but I didn't want to show the same one.
Okay.
So I'm going to start with late great Townes Van Zandt. But I have to show this because, of course, this will get your beard hairs tingling. I know you love this label.
Oh yeah.
You love seeing that. Yeah. So I'm not going to show that. I'm going to show this 8-track. So
wow.
It's same record, but I wanted to show it on a different format. So this is, I know you're real keen on the first, the self-titled Townes, which is killer, absolutely killer. But this one was really kind of my first introduction to Townes, and of course songs like Poncho and Lefty and the standard Fraulein and If I Needed You. Oh man, it's just so freaking good, man. This is it. And I know in your video, I just finished your 20 essential albums.
Yeah.
And you said Townes Van Zandt was, in your opinion, the finest songwriter that ever lived. And I would agree with you, but I might have to disagree just slightly. Just slightly. Have you heard what Steve Earle? You've heard the famous Steve Earle reference. Townes Van Zandt's the best songwriter that ever lived, and I'll stand on Bob Dylan's coffee table in my cowboy boots and tell him that.
I've got one with the hype sticker. There it is.
Oh, that's killer.
So
there it is. That's it.
Yeah, it reads, Townes Van Zandt is the best songwriter in the whole world, and I'll stand on Bob Dylan's coffee table in my cowboy boots and say that. Steve Earle.
Yeah.
I looked for a copy for so long that had the shrink that had that because I love that. So.
Bro, I have got to get that. Now. I mean, yeah, I know how hard those are to find, and you know how hard those are to find. And you know how hard those, just the Poppy ones are to find. Just imagine how hard it is to find it. Look, Poppy, 8-track.
What's something like, what's that? I mean, I know some 8-tracks have value. What's something like that worth?
That's probably around $200 or $300 in that condition.
Really? Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy. I mean, it's got to be rarer than the record,
I would say, if not, they're neck and neck. Absolutely. And the record's what, $150, $175, Yeah.
Yeah.
So
So
let's see where you're gonna go.
well, while we're here,
You have a much cooler glass than I do too.
oh yeah, this one is from Zion National Park. I don't know if you've ever been there, but it's
No.
amazing. We went there
Nice.
when we went out west. It's like but this is the one thing we got from the gift shop. So yeah, it's
Very
sweet.
cool.
But so this is my Towns on Tomato, my Towns Van Zandt. That's a great copy. You can usually get these for about $50. It's a great reissue of it. This is my Poppy Towns Van Zandt.
Sweet.
The Grail of Grails of Towns Van Zandt
Yeah.
stuff. This is I got this on eBay for $18. This is a mono promo for the sake of the song on that
Very
Poppy
nice.
label.
I remember when you showed that in the video where you originally showed you picked that up.
Oh yeah. This is another one. It's got that sweet Poppy inner sleeve. That's I Rode the Mountain. I was hot after this for a long time, but it's got that different Poppy label.
Oh yeah,
That's the Poppy label that this comes in. This one actually you can get it depending on which plant it was at. This Poppy label or the one with the flower on it. But that's another one. These early ones, love Our Mother the Mountain. It's unbelievable. And
I think I only have that record, Our Mother the Mountain, on the Tomato pressing.
Yeah, it's still a great one. And then this is High, Low, and In Between on the Poppy. Found that on my birthday last year. This one's Delta Mama Blues.
You're just gonna go through the run of the gamut here, man. You're gonna show them all.
I'm just showing you. And then I got like a bunch of stuff like this. Austin
You're showing
City
off
Limits.
is what you're doing, right?
No, since we're here. This is the beginning, like early
Nice.
recording. And then I've got, Flying Shoes on Tomato. And then
Now was that only on Tomato? Was Flying
that
Shoes
was on
okay?
Tomato. And so is this, the Old Quarter. And this was actually the first Towns album I heard. And I heard him tell that joke about, I don't know if you remember the track where he says, oh gosh. He said, officer, he called the police. He said, there was a guy and he was telling him, I can't remember how it starts out, but he says, calls the police and says, I wanted to report his car stolen. He said, where's the last time you saw it? He said, it was on the end of my key. And then they said, all right, we'll come down to the end of the police station and file a report. And he said, have you seen my girl? And she, I can't remember how it goes. It said something about, where's the last place you saw her? And he zipped up the zipper or something. I can't remember. But anyways, it was such a funny joke he told. I'm butchering it. But and then there's this record store day, the Sunshine Boy sessions. It's like a box set.
I don't have that one. What record store day was that?
I don't remember. 2013. This is on Omnivore. This is clear vinyl. This is kind of tough to find. They're usually about $100 when you do find them.
Is it just a hits comp?
No. It's like studio outtakes and stuff, like different sessions that he did. So it's got like a bunch of songs you never get anywhere else. And then there's the Sky Blue that came out last year. So needless to say, if anyone watches my channel, they're pretty sick of me talking about Towns Van Zandt, I'm pretty sure, because I talk about him all the time. But
that's why I had to lead off with the cleanup hitter. We had to lead off with the cleanup hitter, right?
Yeah, but he's like, his songwriting is so rich, so good. He writes like nobody else. And he's one of those songwriters when you hear it and you're like, why can't I write music like that? But you'd have to have lived his life. And not many people could survive that.
Oh, not many.
So,
and the fact that he, just the way he influenced and inspired so many other phenomenal songwriters is what's really remarkable.
Yeah, it really is. So he's right up there for me, number one for sure.
So that was your number one and 1A and 1B and 1C and whatever.
Yeah.
All right. Do you want to go with 2 or you want me to go with 2?
You can go with 2.
You want to flip flop?
You can flip flop if you want to flip flop.
It's
I was gonna
up
try
to you.
to find. I got stuff everywhere. So number 2's got to be for you and for me maybe. Blaze Foley.
Hey, but I didn't pick this one. Go ahead.
Well, this one's is yours the original press or the reissue?
Yeah, it's the
Nice.
You got the original too, right?
How did you get one? That's crazy. There's only 100 of them.
Yeah, I got it about 2 months before you did.
I don't remember. I guess we've talked about this, but
We
yeah.
have talked about it. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, we're
Yeah.
two lucky son of a guns.
I know, man.
This album,
and you know, there's only 100 of them, but I guarantee you, there's not 100 of them in existence.
Yeah, there's no telling. I bought this off a guy that bought a collection from a guy that was a road dog that played guitar in a bunch of honky tonks and bars that allegedly traded this for some beer or something to
Nice.
Blaze. But this is if anybody doesn't know, correct me if I'm wrong on the details. It's been a while, but he recorded this. They pressed 500 copies. Something happened with the DEA and some drug bust that his producer / recording label head got involved in. The DEA destroyed 400 copies and let him have 100 copies for himself to give to friends and family, and that's the 100 copies that's left. You've got one, I've got one. There are 98 others.
To think that these were actually in Blaze Foley's hands at one time. How freaking awesome is that? You know, these crazy. They were not only in his hands, they were probably in the back of his trunk. There was beer probably sitting on top of them, you know, and Towns' guitar, you know.
Oh man, don't even do that to me. Yeah.
So I kind of figured you were going to talk about that one. Do you have some more you want to say about that one before I show the one I was going to show?
No, you can show. I mean, it's just that was a huge grail for me, and I couldn't believe I found a copy. You know. And
yeah, same here. That was one that had just been on my radar forever and ever. And honestly, I didn't think I would ever find one. And sure enough, I did. So knowing I had a good feeling you were going to show that one. And I swear, guys, we have not talked about these, right? Have we?
No.
So I'm showing Clay Pigeons.
Yeah.
I think there are 250 of these made. And this one is one of my favorites just because it has the song "If I Could Only Fly." I love. Yeah. Oh my gosh! When you want to, probably one of the finest songs ever written. So not just the title track, "Clay Pigeons," is brilliant. The fact that it's very limited and the fact that it's got a beautiful version of "If I Could Only Fly." That's why I wanted to show that one.
Yeah, that's my favorite. Sorry, I'm reaching out. I've got another Blaze Foley record. I can't remember where I put it, but that's my favorite Blaze Foley song for sure.
Oh, me too. And even my wife, who really isn't into music, is kind of just background noise to her a lot. She will stop what she's doing when that song comes on. It doesn't matter if it's Merle Haggard singing it. It doesn't matter if it's some dude on YouTube. There's a matter of fact, there's a guy that just did a cover of that is mind blowing. I'll have to send you the link. Or if it's Blaze.
Yeah.
She loves it. She actually said that is one of the most beautiful songs I've ever heard.
Yeah, it is for sure. I have one that he stayed with these people, and I can't remember what it's called or anything. I hate it. It's in here somewhere. I'm in such disarray here. But and they had like a reel-to-reel recorder, and he just sat through and recorded I think it was 15 songs, and and they found the tape or whatever. Can't remember. It's called Lost Dog.
The dog sessions or something, right?
Yeah, something like that. The dog, yeah.
Dog.
So anyway, that one's really good, but you can hear a baby in the background, all this stuff. I guess it's somebody's living room, you know, but it's still really
all the clunkers are there and everything, right? Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
That's a heartbreaking story. That's really sad how he passed and all that. So. But the third, it's your turn to show number.
Okay. So this is where, Dylan, this is where I think our roads are gonna maybe fork a little bit. Although I think we share enough similarities that we'll be all right. So, and I'm going in order of, we started with Towns and then we go to Blaze. Where am I likely to go next? Oh, golly. Man, were we separated at birth or what?
I guess we were.
So, I know you and I have never ever talked about this record.
Mm-mm.
Ever, not for a second. But to me, this is probably top 5 country records ever recorded. Just
Yeah.
on Desperado's Waiting for a Train alone.
Yeah.
But then, Rita Ballou, I mean, golly, you got to love the picture of Guy and Susanna on the back. Honestly, I didn't know so I got into this after I was in Nashville, and I had already recorded both my records, and I'm looking at the credits on the bottom, and I see Leah Jane Baronati as a background singer, and Leah Jane sang on both my records as well.
Oh, wow.
I wish I had known about this whenever I recorded my records, but I love this. Let's hear what you've got to say about that.
I'm the same, man. I love the first time I ever heard LA Freeway, I was like, oh my gosh, that simple little guitar riff, it's just amazing. I love
amazing.
Song. And when you say country, like people that are like thinking this is Toby Keith, that's not this. This is singer-songwriter. That's the same way Towns is. That's the same way Blaze Foley is.
Right.
But Guy Clark, man, phenomenal guitar player as well. But yeah.
Yeah. I didn't, especially when was this? 75, 74, 75. So in 75, when I say country, it was Ronnie Millsap and Kenny Rogers, and and nothing wrong with that. Those guys are amazing. But I think that's kind of the lapping stock of country at that particular point. Well, country music. But I'm a huge fan of the genre all the way back to the early 60s, and even that Bakersfield sound with Buck Owens, and even some of the truck driving stuff with Dave Dudley, all the way up to current country. No, it's the bro country I can't get on board with and never have. And we've been in that phase for 10 years now, and I'm so over it, and I'm ready to move on. I think we're moving on though.
Well, there's some good guys out there that are changing some things, so I agree with you. So I'm curious to where you're going to go from there. I don't really know if we're going greatest songwriters or whatever, but these are I have some that are in the same vein as that. And then I have some like newer stuff, which I think you say you have got some too. So this is another really good album. I'll blow through a few unless you want to say something about it. I know you have this.
Absolutely. That's not an easy one to find either, man.
Yeah, but it's not too expensive, I don't think.
25, $30 bucks for a nice copy.
Yeah, it's great. And remember the first time I found this, like, I was so in that singer-songwriter thing, and I didn't even know what it was. And I threw it on. I was like, man, this is good. But it's the same type of feel, but not as hard to find. This is another one.
That was the only album he recorded, right?
I think so.
Yeah.
This one, Steve Young. Seven Bridges Road. This is a great record.
Now my Seven Bridges Road looks different than that. It's maybe he has a couple different versions. I have one that has a maroon cover.
This one was actually I bought it from a collection. It was still sealed, and I didn't even know what it was when I bought it. This was like 3 or 4 years ago, and I put it on one of my shelves. Like I have a couple of shelves of just stuff I need to get through, and I haven't gone through it yet. And about a year ago, I was going through it. I was like, holy moly! So that was really cool. That's a Steve Young, Seven Bridges Road.
Great stuff.
Yeah, the Eagles did that. And this one I found in New York City, and you're going to love this, I think. I have been looking for a first U.S. press of this forever, and they're really tough to find. They're kind of valuable. But this one I found in New York City for $30. Terry Allen, Lubbock on Everything.
Oh, man. And is that signed?
Autographed.
Dude.
So it's made out. It says to Andrew, where are you? What are you doing? Write something. Your pal, Terry Allen. But it sounds like he's just making that out to another songwriter. But yeah, I found this about crap myself. I was so excited in New York City of all places. But yeah, that's a hit. This is like truck driving country music. It's definitely more heavy on the countryside, but manhandling, post holing, house, dust bowling daddy, whatever.
That's the good stuff, man.
So
Yes,
good,
yes,
man.
that's what it's all about.
So that's about as country as I get.
Okay.
But I'll let you take the lead from here.
So I went from Guy, so Towns, Guy, and I gotta show their understudy, who is one of my all-time favorites. Probably at the time when I was really early into my songwriting, kind of molding my songwriting, who I wanted to sound like and things. Got to be Steve Earle, man.
Yeah.
Got to be Steve. And so Steve, all those parties over at Guy and Suzanne's house with Towns and Blaze, and Steve was the little kid there, kind of just a snot-nosed kid, kind of sitting in the corner, picking up any little tips or tidbit or tricks he could get from those guys, and you can tell. I mean, if you've ever heard, you've heard this album, of course, but for those of you who haven't heard this album, it's if you take Townes Van Zandt and Bruce Springsteen and John Mellencamp and Guy Clark and throw them all in a mix in a blender, you've got Steve Earle, and I love it. I love. He gets a little bit. Sometimes he goes a little bit too political for me, but I'm able to kind of separate the artists from their politics. A lot of people aren't. But I love Steve Earle, and this album is just it's his debut album, one of the finest debut albums ever recorded.
Yeah.
Yes, and Steve's
This one doesn't fit on my shelf, so it has to stay on top. But this Heartwarming Highways.
I am so jealous of that, dude. I am so jealous of that.
Yeah, it's so it's a box set that opens. It's wooden.
Yeah,
and it opens
that's
like
how my
that.
George Strait box set does. They're so beautiful. It's kind of like an old whiskey box, isn't it?
Yeah, and so it's got, I think this is the DVD of the documentary. There's like a booklet with all the stuff, and then there's the vinyl, and it says it's on brown vinyl. There's a big poster too, that classic Townes Van Zandt.
Oh yeah.
But this is Townes Van Zandt, Guy Clark, Rodney Crowell, Steve Earle, John Hyatt, David Allan Coe.
Yep.
So
I keep forgetting about Rodney Crowell. Is one of those guys that he's forgotten about in that group. Rodney Crowell is phenomenal. He's just amazing, and he was another one of those youngsters. Whenever those guys they took him under his wing.
That's a really cool box set. If you can watch Heartworn Highways, that's a great.
Oh yeah. Who pressed that, Dylan?
I think Light in the Attic. I think it's 1,500. Yeah, Light in the Attic.
Okay.
So it's limited to 1,500. This was a record store day thing, and one of these popped up a couple years ago on eBay for like, I think I got it for like $80.
Wow.
It's just, it was well worth it. That's one of those things.
Heck yeah.
But anyways, so where did you go from there? You said
So I went from Guy to Steve Earle.
Okay, Steve Earle. So I've got a bunch of newer stuff now. That's all. Well, and then I have I know we're talking about country music, but I have some other songwriters that are really good as well. And the female songwriter, Karen Dalton's amazing. This album, it's called It's Hard to Tell Who's Gonna Love You the Best. Karen Dalton, she's multi-instrumentalist, incredible. Judy Sill, just amazing stuff. And this album I've been listening to 24/7. My wife's been really getting into this, so we've been listening to it nonstop for the past 2 weeks. This is going to be, when I hear this album from now on, it's going to remind me of coronavirus quarantine because we've been.
You mentioned in your most recent video, your Essential 20, you showed it was Stephen Stills Manassas.
Yeah.
Enlighten me. I'm not familiar. I mean, obviously I know Crosby, Stills, Nash, and I know the Stephen Stills, but I've never heard that album. But just for what you said, I know I'm going to have to pick it up.
Yeah, it's really good. I mean, it definitely has a Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young feel to it, but there's a lot of other really good players on it. But it's Stephen Stills at his best. I think it's the best stuff he ever did. I mean, I love Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young. I'm probably of the unpopular camp that I think Crosby, Stills and Nash is a better album than Deja Vu. I think it's better than any Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young album. I think it's just.
I would agree. I'm right there in your corner on that one.
Yeah, I love Neil Young to death. He's one of my favorite songwriters, but I don't think he mixed very well with Crosby, Stills, and Nash. I just don't think it was. I think it was fine. Those albums are great, and I love them. But Crosby, Stills, and Nash had a special connection.
Completely. So my turn.
Sure. I mean, sure. If you've got any older stuff, now would be the time.
yeah. I've actually got a couple older ones here. So I would be remiss if I didn't show some outlaw country. So we're talking about songwriters, so I'm not going to spend any time on this. But this is the outlaw. When people start talking about outlaw country, this is kind of where they point to. All arrows point to this album. It's Waylon Jennings' Honky Tonk Heroes. But the genius behind that album is Billy Joe Shaver. It's essentially this album. This is your old five and dimers like me, which Billy Joe pretty much wrote this record. And legend has it that Billy Joe stalked Waylon for months with cassette tapes. He had his demos, and he stalked him. Finally, snuck into the studio. Waylon was having some coffee. And he basically came in and he's like, look, you bleep, you're going to record these songs, because he'd been trying to get him these songs forever. You're going to record these songs. I'm going to kick your ass right here. We're going to fight right now. We're going to go toe to toe. And so Waylon's like, calm down, Haas, calm down. And he listened to the songs, loved them, and recorded damn near all of them. And so this is pretty much the blueprint for outlaw country music and what started that outlaw movement. So this is my signed copy of on the original Monument label. There you go, little chicken foot Monument label, but that's Billy Joe Shaver, old five and dimers. And one more talking about outlaw country. Again, I would be remiss if I didn't mention David Allan Coe. We're going to come full circle because this is Mysterious Rhinestone Cowboy. David had a couple records prior to this. When he was one of them, he actually recorded like when he was locked up in prison. I think either Shelby Singleton or Sam. I think it was Shelby Singleton actually at the time released it on Sun Records or SSI, whichever he was under at that point. But this is his first kind of real mainstream record. I think this is on Columbia, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, this is on Columbia. But it's got songs like a sad country song, Crazy Mary, which he didn't write, but it's still a great, great song. But it has Guy Clark, Guy Clark's Desperados Waiting for a Train. Just another brilliant song. The Old Gray Goose is Dead. So a lot of old standards, but some great David Allan Coe stuff. And just kind of a glimpse of what we would see from this guy. And I think his 70s output is some of the best outlaw country stuff that was put out at that time.
Now, what's that one that's really rare? It's got the black cover. That's like super rare. It's worth like $500. You of course you have it. So there's two of them actually. Okay, show us.
So the first one, this is the one you're talking about here. The Underground album.
Okay.
Of course, I won't show you the titles. It's as raunchy as they get, but these were only sold at his shows. And it's so bad. It's so inappropriate. Yeah. But this is the original right here.
Okay.
Nothing Sacred. And it's even so bad I can't even show you the back because it's got like curse words all over the back. But that's David Allan Coe, man. So I was actually thinking of because I'm a huge David Allan Coe fan, and I make these box sets because Brandon, Mr. Hall of Fame, started making these things, and I'm like, dude, some of my favorite artists, I want to have these box sets to sit around, so we make custom box sets. And I'm working on a David Allan Coe one, and I was talking with my buddy Steve. We all know Harmless Rebel, and Steve was like, well, when you show your David Allan Coe stuff, I probably wouldn't show those two records. Like, yeah, You're probably right, but
Yeah.
it's part of his heritage. It's part of the history.
Yeah.
As bad as it is.
Yeah, but I know there's some high dollar David Allen Coe pieces, but yeah, I mean, so the newer songwriter, I think, and this is just my opinion, I think this guy is the best songwriter walking the planet right now. Jason Isbell.
Oh yeah,
I think he's the best
pick.
Yeah, I think he's the best best one around that's doing it. He can turn a lyric like nobody I've ever heard.
And that album is his masterpiece too, man.
This one kind of broke him out. Yeah, this one broke him out. He did so his first record, when he was still heavy on the drink, was this.
Yeah.
Sirens of the Ditch. I don't love this album, but the Dress Blues song on this album does it for me. That's a phenomenal song. But he was still, drinking pretty heavily. This is where he really, it's got Cover Me Up, Elephant, Different Days. Those are all amazing tracks. Elephant especially. That song, and I didn't really know him very much, and this guy that comes to my pop-ups, well, he you probably know Digital Gramophone. He used to come to my pop-ups all the time, and he brought me this, and he traded it to me super cheap. It's on the gold.
Nice.
This is live at the Ryman, and he's just like, I don't like how it's mixed, and he's pretty picky about that type of thing, but he's like, listen to this, you'll like it. And I was listening to it at work one day, and Elephant came on, and I was like, holy moly, that song is amazing. And
it is unbelievable. I
went down a bad black hole after that. And I got all his records, and just, he's, in my opinion.
Yeah. And what's the one that they finally reissued? Here We Rest.
Yeah. I actually don't
the
have
400 unit. That's a great one, man. Great one.
Yeah. This one, this 400 Nashville Sound, the song on here, Last of My Kind. We were driving home tonight, listening to it, me and my wife, and I was showing it to her, and I was like, man, there's some one-liners in that are so good, man. But he's, Something More Than Freeze, another great one, and then he's got some live stuff that's really good. So he's like, if you watch my channel much, you've heard me talk about Jason Isbell. He's among my favorites, and then obviously Chris Stapleton. I think he's a little bit more mainstream, but he's really good. And then my last one's John Moreland. I don't know if you heard John Moreland?
Yeah. He's the bigger dude, right?
Yeah.
Guitar player, singer, songwriter.
So the one that's like his best song is Hang Me in the Tulsa County Stars. That one is, man, that's a really great song. There's another one too. I don't know if it's on this one or not. But anyways, he's got some really great songs. This is a great album.
I got to get
bought this one in New York City. So, and then, Justin Towns Earle's really good. Do you have any
Didn't he just come out with one like a few months back?
Yeah, he did. It's not really, I have to listen to it again. It's a little bit more electronic than,
really?
It's got some like synth stuff, and then like it's just a little bit, I say electronic. It's got some like definitely some electronic keys to it and stuff, and then it's just not the same. I don't know. It's not singer-songwritery. It's not.
Perfect segue to the guy I'm going to show next, Dylan. Yeah, we see how we've got that going on. So speaking of new guys that I think are great, man, Sturgill Simpson, and you had to segue with, his new stuff. Sturgill, his newest album, everybody's freaking out about it, and it took me a little while to come around to it, but it's certainly not the Sturgill Simpson that I know and love and fell in love with. This is the Sturgill Simpson that I fell in love with. Of course, his previous record, High Top Mountain, is, to me, probably like, that was the one that I first heard and was like blown away by. But this is his trip. It's like psychedelic country. It really is. I know that sounds so weird to say, but if you've heard this record, right? You know why I'm making that.
I tell you, I have not delved into Sturgill Simpson. I've heard a couple of his songs, but I have not really jumped into it. So
Well, I knowing your taste, just from watching your videos, this should be your jump off point right here, with Sturgill Simpson. Grab this because it while it has various straightforward country and bluegrass roots, he gets a little trippy at times. I mean, it has psychedelic moments that you'll be like, wow, you'll be mind blown. It's great stuff. Love it. This is his masterpiece right here.
Yeah, I need to get into it. A lot of people tell me that. I just haven't. I haven't yet.
And then with other new guys, I don't show this one enough. I talk about Tyler Childers quite a lot on my channel, but I don't talk about this one. And this was the one that kind of put him on the map. He has another record before this, but it was an independent release. And this was an independent release, but it has a major distribution. 30 Tigers distributed this. But this is just a brilliant record. He's a young, at this time, he was like 23, I think. 22 or 23. And when have you heard this one?
Yeah, okay. I love it.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Songs like Born Again, Feathered Indians, Banded Clovis, and Lady May. Lady May.
Oh, yeah.
Just brilliant. Oh, this is killer. This is killer, man.
Yeah. I don't have any of his records. I need to get it on vinyl. I just, that record, somebody told me about it like 6 months ago. Told me about Tyler Childers. I started looking him up. He started young, and he is good, man.
He's right up there. I probably put him at like 1A, and of the new, we've had a new wave of British heavy metal, new wave of traditional heavy metal. I like to call this our new wave of traditional country. These guys are bringing country back. Sturgill Simpson, Tyler Childers, Colter Wall. Dude, Colter Wall. If you haven't gotten into Colter Wall, this is killer. It's Townes Van Zandt meets Johnny Cash, and they both walk into a sperm bank, and their sperm gets mixed into the vial together, and it get you. Because I would say that Johnny Cash and Townes Van Zandt had a kid, but you and I both know that can't happen, right? Oh, who knows? But anyway, if you mix those two guys up, this is the dude that's going to get spit out.
Wow.
Fantastic songs of right out of that Townes Van Zandt, and a vocal ability of Johnny Cash. Now, he has changed his vocals since this record. This is his major label debut. This was produced by Dave Cobb, the same guy that produced Jason Isbell, Stapleton, all Sturgill, all those guys. Dave's got his finger on the coolest stuff that's happening with the singer-songwriter stuff. But his last two records, at least definitely his last record, he's more, I guess it's cowpoke music, the old Marty Robbins style, yodeling. Yeah. It's a very much a Marty Robbins vocal approach. Whereas I like that eerie and dark and somber Townes Van Zandt approach a little bit better.
For sure.
Yeah. What else you got?
I'm done, man.
Okay, so I got to touch on these real quick. I know you said Townes Van Zandt is the greatest songwriter, and like I said, I do. It's not that I disagree with you.
It's a bold statement to make. I understand that, and I know most people don't agree.
But this guy might have just something to say about that. I mean, Merle Haggard, to me, is the finest songwriter to ever live. And it's a personal preference thing. Yeah. Merle Haggard. And this is just a great album. Songs like Going Where the Lonely Go, Shopping for Dresses. Oh, my God. But You Take Me for Granted. He says, my legs and my feet have walked till they can't hardly move from trying to please you. And my back is sore from bending over backwards to just lay the world at your door. This dude he's the man. He could do no wrong. And honorable mention has to go to, I know you love the Mo-Fi, so I had to break out my Jim Croce Mo-Fi. Yeah. When we're talking about best singer-songwriters, and we could have shown 100 other guys, that we could have showed John Prine. We could have went into all these guys, but I would have had to get smacked if I didn't show Jim Croce.
Yeah. Now, where are you at on Bob Dylan? You like Bob Dylan a good bit?
So I got to tell you, for the longest time, I thought I hated Bob Dylan. It was the vocal. It was just the vocal. It took me a long time, and probably until I was about 35 or 40, until I realized the brilliance and genius of Bob Dylan. And so I'm slowly adding the great thing, though, and you can appreciate this, and all of our audiophile fans will appreciate it. I'm building my Bob Dylan collection with the best pressings you can get. So it's not all bad, right? I'm getting all those mobile fidelity things,
Yeah, I've got most of the MoFis now, and so I've weeded out some of the other ones. But I mean, yeah, I've got a lot of Bob Dylan stuff. I like Bob Dylan a lot. I've always liked Bob Dylan since I was a little kid. Bob Dylan was my introduction to vinyl. That was my first. That was what made me fall in love. Highway 61 was it for me. So, when I heard Towns, it's just different. But anyways,
it is. It's the same, but it's different, right? It's like the lights came on then. It's like, Dylan's so great, but Towns is in a different league.
The way that Dylan writes songs is a little bit too abstract for me. Like it's so subjective and out there a little bit. But the way Towns writes songs and Jason Isbell and stuff, man, it makes you feel. I mean, I've never heard a Bob Dylan song that made me want to cry. But I've heard Towns Van Zandt songs and Jason Isbell songs that make me just like want to cry.
Have made you cry.
Yeah. We were on our way home tonight, and I was talking about that Last of My Kind song, and he said, Daddy says the river will always bring you home, but the river can't take me back in time, and Daddy's dead and gone. And I'm explaining that to my wife, and I'm about to cry. I'm like, his home's where his dad is, and his dad's gone, and that's what he said. And it's just so good, but but that's what I like about it. But some people may say that Ozzy Osbourne's the greatest songwriter ever written, but that's what they like. That's their.
It's what you relate to, And we're from two different parts of the country, so it's really and you're significantly younger than I. I'm 46. You're only in your early 30s, right?
Yeah, 32.
Yeah. So it's not like there's that. Oh, well, you guys are of the same age. You were raised on this. No, it's just good is freaking good. Yeah. And great is great. And Towns is great. Yeah.
Yeah, I grew up North Carolina obviously is a hotbed for country music, but I grew up when I started playing guitar, I was getting into the Sabbath and the Led Zeppelin and all that stuff, and my dad kind of wanted to pull the reins a little bit. And so I don't know where it was, but it was about 45 minutes from here. He'd say, grab your guitar, and we'd jump in the car, and we'd go to this little house, and they have these bluegrass jam sessions, and I'd get in with these old dudes, and I fell in love with it. Bluegrass and country music and stuff like that. But I didn't ease up on the Zeppelin and the Sabbath either, but it kind of gave me a full spectrum of appreciation for it since, I remember the first time he did it, he said, go in the back door, and it's his house. So I walk in the back door with my guitar, and I'm on stage, and there's like all these people in there. And these bluegrass guys, they knew my dad. They're like, what do you want to play? And I'm like, I don't know.
Let's do Stairway to Heaven?
Yeah, no. And actually, the first time I did it, I knew, the Old Crow Medicine Show, Wagon Wheel?
Yeah.
So I knew that. And I was like, let's do that. And they knew it and picked it up, and we did it. And I just was like, man, this is great. So that's the first time I really played with other musicians. And, so that's why I kind of have I'm drawn towards the singer-songwriter country Americana type sound. So
yeah, that sounds like a scene directly from Heartworn Highways,
Right.
Just guys sitting around, passing a guitar around, smoking a cigarette, and,
for sure.
Great. So, man, this has been fun, Dylan.
Yeah, man, this is a lot of fun. So I'll have this one up soon, man, and I'm gonna hit stop recording, but we can still talk. So,
yeah.
So
we could
thank
talk
you guys
about songwriting all night, man.
Yeah.
Man.